you doing?
I'm really good, man. Yeah, really good. Really good. And I said like in that message that you sent me, I saw the post pop up. Obviously, we hadn't been connected on LinkedIn before that. And then you said about having some guests on the podcast. And I was like, whatever, the little voice in my head went, yeah, do it.
Do it.
And so I was like,
yeah, you're the type of guest I love having on podcasts. This is why I've been really excited to hear about someone different, someone new, instead of someone talking about recruitment every 5 seconds. And do you know what I mean? So it's it's definitely and hearing your journey, because looking at your profile and looking at what you've been up to the last 18 months, it's been
it's been mental, as it has been for a lot of people, right?
It has. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, God, what's going on here?
Okay. I'm 21 years old.
Yeah.
No, add another 2 decades on top of that.
Oh, I love you. Same age as me, 42, 41.
41. Yeah. Oh, got an itch.
I'm 42.
Awesome. Well, the 40s, we're in that, our 5th decade.
It's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad.
Yeah, it is mad. My 30s went very quickly. I don't know about you.
They were a blur. I had a child, I got married, and started a business in my 30s, and that's all I remember. But then I remember even less about my 20s. But the 20s felt so long compared to your 30s, didn't they?
Definitely. Yeah, the 30s. I also got married. I didn't have a child. I gained a stepson.
Oh,
so my 40s. I'm excited about my 40s, actually, the most that I've been excited in my life, because I feel like, you get to 40, you form strong opinions about things, you put more boundaries down, in my case, as well.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in the 40s. And look, back to your question, I'm a former professional comedy actor of 14 years. I actually went to art school. Yeah, I went to art school. And then I quit that. So I did a foundation year at Central St. Martin's in London, and then could have stayed on, but wanted to get out of London. So I went to Norwich Art School, lasted 4 months of a fine art sculpture degree because I had the bug for performing. And I quit that, went to drama school, auditioned.
Fine art sculpture.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's a good, what?
Were you going through that arty phase? Because I just bought watercolours from the works. That's when I went through my arty phase.
Geezer, I was going through an arty phase my whole life. Like ever since I can remember, I wanted to do art, painting, not so much sculpture, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was only when I was at St. Martin's in the last 3 months where they said you've got to specialise. That's when I started doing sculpture and making stuff with my hands. And I was like, oh, this is good. And then I went to Norwich Art School, enjoyed that for a little bit. Yeah. And then before Christmas, my creativity just wasn't there. And it like morphed into the performing side of things.
What was that?
I knew my heart wasn't in it.
With the performance side of things, was that something that you had watched or done, or was it always inside you, being a performer?
No, it wasn't always inside me. It's when I got to A level. I mean, well, I say that. It must have been on some level. Yeah. I didn't do drama GCSE, but I really wanted to do it for A level. Yeah. And then when it got to A levels and I got a bit older, and sixth form happened, a load of the people left school, and I kind of came into my own a bit then. I felt like I could really be myself, whatever that meant. But I was quite shy. I was, I did fairly well in school.
Yeah.
I didn't mess around much. I was a good lad. But then when sixth form came, I started to come out my shell more. And I think the acting helped with that as well. And then I did art, but I stuck with art because it's what I'd always done. And then eventually got into drama school. Well, I didn't get in the first time I auditioned because they put me on the waiting list because they said your diction is horrendous and you speak way too fast. Dude, it was a full day audition. I was gutted.
Oh no.
So then?
Yeah, go on. Sorry. I keep still.
Somebody didn't take their place and I got in that year.
So it wasn't that bad then.
No,
if no. It's just that we're full now. We're full of people, not like you, Steve, but we need you now. But come and join
absolutely.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so chuffed because it was a career change for me.
A massive one. Yeah.
Ballsy decision, right? To stop that and do this. But then I did a 3-year degree and then went out into the acting world and went to Edinburgh Fringe Festival straight away.
the place where would you say every single British comedian has to pass through to become something in the industry?
It's yeah. I mean, it's maybe. I mean, I was more of a comedy actor. I wouldn't consider myself a comedian. It was more character comedy. I never actually did any stand up, but I feel like every single actor, if you're serious about the career in that world, you've got to do Edinburgh. I mean, I did it twice, probably 5 years apart, two different things each time, but it is an absolute grind, mate.
I
mean, 24 shows in 25 days.
I don't think you can get your head around how much hard work that is in a very short space of time. You don't sleep, you hardly eat much as well, do you? It's. I've got a few friends that did stand up, and they did Edinburgh, and they were just in the back room of some pub selling, not even selling tickets, just doing it for free, and they still didn't get an audience.
Dude, talking of audience size. Well, we were very optimistic. We grafted for probably between 6 and 8 weeks to create the comedy show stuff that we did.
Yeah.
And we hired Hill Street Theatre, which had like 150 seats a venue. Wow. We were very optimistic. And it came to day one, our professional debut. And we had 2 people in the audience, mate. 2.
Did you invite them up on the stage and join you?
No, I'll tell you why we didn't invite them. Because one of them was our bloody director.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the other one was a reviewer from the Scotsman newspaper.
Oh, my God.
Dude, like...
Well, I'm just picturing now your faces when you knew it was a reviewer.
We had to get on with it. The thing was, it was a physical comedy show and there was lots of interaction.
Yeah.
But she was literally sitting on the second row like this.
Oh, for fuck's
sake. Nothing. Dude, nothing. We still had to give it some willy. Our director is up the back having a fucking kip because he's seen it like 70 times. Oh God!
Was there an audience interaction moment in there as well that you needed to
yeah, loads.
Oh,
but
no.
we just had to roll with if she responded or not, and then we just had to, call it like it is.
Oh.
It's just one of those things. We managed to get one line out of it, a winsome double act. The rest of it wasn't the best.
Oh,
and then she annihilated every single other show that she saw for the whole time. And so I don't know. She got out the wrong side of the bed that month.
She's a troublemaker. That's what that was. She wasn't there to help comedians aspire to become something. Like you say, there's that one little line lifts the comedian, and they look at the rest of them. They don't give a crap what the rest of the words say. But it's just one like, she's out to take out people. She's just been an assassin that month.
It was hardcore, but we were very grateful that we got something out of that review because it's just one of them things. I don't know what was going on in her life for it to be that harsh with people at that time. No, something must have been because you can't be that harsh all the time. It's just literally annihilating people. It's just like, what's the point in coming?
Yeah, there's no point, and I get it's a job, and sometimes I'm critical of critics because you watch some movies and then you read the reviews from some of the critics thinking, are you watching the same movie as me? Because this movie was brilliant, or this movie was terrible. What the hell's going on? And I think sometimes professional critics are too, I know that's their job, but too critical, if that makes sense, to the point at which they go in the opposite direction, helping people understand about the show, the movie, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But they've gone a little bit too far past, the point at which it's doing anything for anyone, helping anyone.
Absolutely. And the thing is, if there would have been more balanced stuff, is some reviews are amazing, some reviews are terrible, like fine, but they weren't. And look, it was a big learning curve, right?
Imagine.
Big, like going up there, it costs a lot of money. Thankfully, we got some sponsorship, but it's expensive to do that. Most people lose money. However, you get to tread the boards in your craft coming out of drama school straight away. And it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And from a craft point of view, I really wanted to do repertory theatre. But when I came out of drama school, 2003, that was dead. Didn't exist anymore, right?
Really?
And the greats on TV and that. Yeah, just not like it used to be, where people really used to hone their craft and stuff like that. So the fringe theatre was the next best thing for me.
Yeah.
And then that continued for a number of years. And then I stopped. I consciously stopped in 2015 and was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore because it didn't feel right, you know. And the thing is, and this is the beauty of reflecting on our lives and where I was at, is I realized all the characters that I played, and I created my own comedy character called Guru John Popolini, the world's #1 success guru.
Right.
Big piss take on all the rah motivational stuff. Some of it's great, but some of it was the American stuff. It was just too much, and a lot of it was bullshit. But there's a lot of great stuff.
Like Tony Robbins and all them type.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of Tony does a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of kind of tactics and tools that I don't like. Yeah. So I did that, and then I looked back in 2015, and I thought, you know what, I'm playing characters the whole time, so far removed from who I actually am as a person. I was like, I just want to be me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Do you think a lot of actors go through this? They've lost who they are. They've forgotten who they are because they played.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can just go by my journey. That might. Law of averages said, there's going to be some out there for sure. There might be a large chunk, but for me, and that kind of started in 2013, where I kind of had this kind of spiritual awakening, which kind of connected me back to me, or connected me to me properly for the first time in my life, where I was just like, wow. This is what it feels like, you know. And then it took that long. It took about 1.5 years for me to go, you know what, I'm done now. I'm done now. It wasn't fulfilling me anymore. I wasn't enjoying it as much. And so 2015, I consciously stopped the acting.
Wow.
But before that, probably 7 years before that, in 2007, that's when I fell into doing and it really felt like falling into it, doing the coaching and the training, speaking skill stuff, because I was at a networking event. I'd had a really bad experience with a sales job that I came in to hit commission on a weekend, and the MD didn't turn up, just left me standing in London Bridge for 3.5 hours. And I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm not doing these shitty jobs anymore. That I'd bought into the mindset that I had to do that as an actor. I went, screw that. So
to keep you going, isn't it? So there's little shitty jobs because the bigger picture is acting.
Dude, but the thing is, you know, it's a really challenging industry. And if it's not what you want to do with every ounce of your being, it's hard going, man. It really is, because it can be brutal at times. And it's also another reason why I always created my own work. Very rarely did I go for auditions, that kind of stuff, because I was, you know, I looked up to Ricky Gervais, Sacha Baron Cohen, and what they did with creating their characters, creating the work, directing it, producing it. I've always really enjoyed that. And I even, as I talk to you now, I think to myself, would I ever get back into it? I'm not sure that I would, but I've always liked the idea of directing and producing stuff. So maybe, who knows, further down the line. And I suppose with the directing, it's kind of what I do now with my clients.
Yeah.
Directing and giving feedback for performance and stuff. So it's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that.
And giving them guidance like a director does, and coaching them along the edges of what you think they should look like. It's different when you're making a film, because it's what you need them to look like or sound like in situations. But it's the same skills. It's the same craft of dealing with it. And there is something quite, is it Disney? Is that the right word to use? Something quite Disney about being a director, isn't it? Something beautiful about it, where you can create this thing and you look like a great guy because you've produced this amazing thing. Whereas a fucking hard job, isn't it? It's a real grind. It's more of a grind than being an actor, I would presume.
Probably. I mean, it is hard. But I mean, you've got a lot of the directors. I mean, it's a weird one, because being an actor, you kind of, you're a bit of a commodity at some point, you know, sometimes, and that kind of stuff. Whereas the director, you've got more creative license, and you've got the bigger picture, and there's a level of, I suppose, control that you have over the whole thing, where you can really implement your vision as well. So that's what I like about the whole kind of directing thing. But who knows? Maybe there'll be something further down the line.
Sometimes coming out of something reinvigorates your passion of going back into it. I stopped mountain biking for 10 years. Mostly because I used to be really into it, mate. I had thousands of pounds worth of bikes, and I used to do competitions, and I was really, mate, I was into it. I came third in a race in Wales, and my time was as good as the top 10 professionals, and I was that good. I was, in my mind anyway, I was that good.
Days.
That was just one weekend where I did really well, and then other weekends I probably hit trees most of the time. But but honestly, I loved it. And then I moved to Bristol, went to university, took 2 of my best bikes to university. And one of them broke, and I was like, oh, I'm going to send that home. So I took it home. And then I came back with just one bike in university, and I smashed the bike up to pieces coming down some steps in near Hotwells in Bristol, if you've ever been. And I was staring at my bike going, I can't afford to fix this. And I honestly, and then your brain, I don't know why it does this to you. Well, there we go. Then that's it. That's over and done with. And you quit and you forget about it. 10 years later, really sad story. This is actually thinking about why I got back into mountain biking. I found on YouTube one of the guys I used to absolutely look up and adore called Martin Ashton had a horrible accident and broke his back and was paralyzed from there down, basically. And he was one of the best mountain bikers in the world. He was extraordinary. And he has a show called The Dirt Shed Show, GMBN on YouTube. And he's an amazing guy, still is to this day, amazing guy. And all my passion and want for mountain biking came back in that one TED talk he did, basically, in that one TED talk. And I went out and I bought a $1,500 mountain bike the next day. And I went back into it. And that was me. That was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So having that time out, and then having that moment of, it could be anything for anyone, but it'll just make you realize what you missed. But this time doing it, I'm more cautious than I used to be. I'm doing it more for fun than for anything else, but I'm enjoying it for what it is, rather than focusing it down the route of, oh, I really want to get back into competitions. I'm 42. I can't even fucking ride up a hill at the moment. I'm out. You know what I mean? But it is, isn't it, though? It's sometimes coming out of it. And I can hear the passion still in your voice about comedy and about creating stuff. I can hear the passion still, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a creative nut. So I'm always going to have some level of creativity in me. It's just who I am. I remember when I was at St Martin's in London, I got fucking bored of. I was working at Tesco's at the time for about a year and a half.
I've worked at Tesco's for a year and a half.
You have as well, yeah. Did you really? This is weird. We don't live far from each other either, do we?
I'm in Tamworth though, because where you? You're in the southwest.
Because you said about Bristol, Tamworth. Oh yeah, that's Birmingham. You're in the middle.
I moved up to Bristol. 2010, 2009.
Okay.
I moved up from Bristol, I should say. But yeah, I think the last time we talked, I was going down Cornwall. That was the last time we talked.
Oh yeah. What's I say? Oh yeah. So at Tesco's, I got so bored of the rules and the tie and the shirt, and I was at art school at the time, and I thought, oh shit, how can I do this? I thought, I'm going to go to and I remember his name, Colin Penn, the store manager. I basically lied to his face and said, look, I've got this fine art media project that I have to do, and everyone has to dye their hair. But I said, I have to dye this half of my hair, like blonde, peroxide blonde, this eyebrow blonde. And I had a goatee at the time. And I said, I have to dye this half peroxide blonde as well. I said, there's it's, prestigious art school, blah, we have to do it. Otherwise I'll get thrown out. And he fucking bought it. He bought it hook, line and sinker. So I went and got it done.
Oh, you did it.
I got it done. Dude, it was brilliant. I was like, this is awesome. Just me expressing my creativity. Amazing. But it looked fantastic. Like literally that half of my head, like the left, that was all peroxide blonde, right? So I would walk down the street and people would laugh and smile. I remember sitting on a train and pulling into a train station. Obviously, they can see this half. And I turned like that, and someone nearly fell on the floor laughing. It took them at Tesco's 4 weeks. And then I got a call by a lady called Pauline, someone who was head of HR. And she basically said, if you don't change it, you're going to be fired. And I remember at the time going back home to my parents saying, I ain't changing it. I got full permission. And I remember my dad saying to me, he said, you're changing it. And I thought, yeah, probably I don't want to lose the job. So I ended up dyeing this bit back dark and then going full peroxide all over my head. And they were cool with that. But it was brilliant the time that I did it. And I even remember sitting on the checkouts, and then somebody would come down here and then I'd turn and then it just put a big smile on people's faces. I like it. Looked cool as well. So yeah, that was the whole creativity thing. And then the art style, I haven't picked up a paintbrush in a long time. And my wife's always at me, why don't you draw? Why don't you paint? But it's just kind of not where my creativity feels like it is.
You have to, it's got to flow, isn't it? Because I love painting now and again. And I started painting a beach scene and stuff about 2 years ago. And I've not got back to it because I just haven't got energy or the creativity to go back to it. But I know what you mean. It's really, really kind of difficult, isn't it? Weirdly enough, I'm doing some comedy sketches as part of my business, like 30-second comedy sketches. It's
Awesome.
called the Markverse. So basically, there's different versions of me. I've done 3. I've got 5 or 6 planned to do, but it's just around office-based scenarios and office-based banter and stuff like that. And last week I did a podcast, and I kind of got to the night where I was going to make this sketch. I got nothing. I had the camera recording for 20 minutes, and I was. I got a Tesco story for you, which is insane. Halloween one year, they told us all to dress up. Something really scary was the manager's words. So I took my housemate's Sainsbury's uniform and went to work.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And I was sent home. I don't think I was there longer than 3 minutes. I think I walked through the doors, and I was walking through fruit and veg, and one of the section leaders went, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, this is my fancy dress." He goes, and then the boss came around the corner and it was like, "You need to go home, go and get changed." And I got docked an hour's wages for it as well.
Oh, you did? Yeah. That's I like that. That's a good story, that one.
No one, no one in these kind of corporate worlds gets it today. Kind of the mind of someone that's just trying to be.
Different. No, they need people to just be the same as everyone. You know, you can't be too out there, because then all of a sudden other people get ideas and go, "Oh, well, if you do that, they'll want to do this." Yeah. And then we'll have a mutiny on our hands. We'll have this revolution of people wanting to stand out, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Which I understand, because they're a corporate, but it's so fucking boring.
It is boring. I used to manage a team, in a recruitment team when I used to work at quite a big recruitment agency. And outside the doors to everyone in the corporate world, we were normal. And then inside the doors, I just let them do whatever they want. Honestly, I didn't care. Look, as long as the KPIs and the tracking is done, all of them hit target, mate. None of them missed the target. And they turned up when they wanted. They went, well, they didn't go home when they wanted because they had quite a lot of work to do. So they did stay late some days. But like Fridays, we'd say, should we have a buffet? And they go, yeah. So we all chuck a $5 and someone goes to Co-op and buys loads of stuff. And we just, like, for the rest of the afternoon, having a buffet, answering the phone, interviewing candidates, giving candidates a plate of buffet food as well.
But you know what? That's like that real human connection. You have fun, you build rapport, you treat people like humans, you get to know them, and that's what a lot of times in corporates you don't have, because it's so. One of
the girls I had to fire, purely because she was poorly performing, but couldn't kind of get that to perform was basically she just had to do the job as well as enjoy herself. And even to this day, this is nearly 10 years on, even to this day, she's friends with me on Facebook and we chat and stuff like that. So that's kind of the type of person I was to these people. And I think you can be that manager to people in those corporate environments and just be just have that human connection.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Well, I think a lot of people forget how to do that, because shit gets serious and it gets professional. Yeah, and that's a big issue in large companies. When doing that human connection and human touch and just realness is lost, and it's like sucks the life out of people as well, doesn't it?
It does. And if you look at social media now, the people which are killing it on social media are the small businesses, the one-man bands or a couple of people, and they let their staff, they give them guidance on where they want their staff to be on social media, but they just let them get on with it and let people get on with it. And people coming back to them and people return business and just a sense of who they are as a company is warm and inviting and friendly and funny at the same time. Really helps. And things like this, podcasts, people doing more of these. I don't see a big corporate company do podcasts. I don't.
No, not a lot at all. If I can't think of anyone, I'm sure there are corporate ones, but they're probably very, very boring and like kind of plain. Yeah. I'm happy to be challenged on that. If you watch this or listen to this and you want to send me stuff, absolutely. But I don't think so. I think it's too dangerous for them.
I agree. But it's the clinicalness, I think, of corporate, I think, is a dying thing at the moment. Or it's only a thing for a very small percentage of the market, and it will never go for them. It'll never disappear. But yeah, it's an interesting one. So tell us a little bit about kind of what's going on at the moment. So 2015 to today is this extraordinary business that you have.
Yeah, well, last year was rough. It was a fucking hard year for me last year. I ended up having to, and not many people know this at all, I ended up having to liquidate my business because the pandemic hit, and virtually overnight I lost 85-90% of my business because it was all face-to-face training, mate.
Mate, I'm recruitment, so you can imagine what it was like for us in the recruitment industry at the same time.
Of course.
Yeah, we went from January, February, starting of the best ever year by the looks of it, and then March it was like dominoes, one thing, then another thing, and then another thing, and then there was rumors of lockdowns, and then 2 more things dropped off, and before you know it, you're at the end of March staring at the brick wall, going, "Where's the next? How am I going to pay my bills? Well, where's that?" And it was bad, wasn't it? It was really, really
yeah.
bad.
It was bad. The most challenging time of my life, easily, and it was hardcore, and going over those months. And look, and the thing was, I also know that there were some things I didn't have in place with regard to the online stuff and other bits and pieces, because I'd always been doing the face-to-face stuff. I'd said probably about 6 months a year previously, I would love to be able to take stuff online. I didn't specify that I wanted it to be smooth and easy and simple, but then what I found was the stress of everything. I couldn't pivot quick enough. And literally just before it all kicked off, I'd created an online course, but I didn't expect that to happen. Anyway, it got a lot for me, and my mental health took a dive, like big time last year, and I suffered depression probably for about 6 months on and off for the first time in my life.
It was hard.
It was hard, right? And yeah, it was. And my wife, thank heavens for my wife, because she was a rock through that time, and it was just, feel very blessed to have her by my side. Someone we care about each other greatly, and I mean, if it wasn't for her, it would have been even more of a struggle. But the thing that happened is when I didn't want to, but when it came to the decision to kind of go, I spoke to my accountant at the time, I then spoke to a liquidator, and it was that was like, the company's not in a position to continue. Once I made the decision to liquidate the business, it was like this huge weight off my shoulders. And it felt like I was fighting to keep things going for like 4 months, that kind of stuff. And
it's like leaving a shit job, isn't it? I know that sounds crazy. It's your business, it's your baby, and leaving that and burying that is really hard to do. But once you've all the stress and anguish, and a short period of time is like 20 years of abuse, isn't it?
It was. You know what I mean? It was hard. Kind of. I know there are so many other people going through the same stuff as well. Especially in the training industry as well, and other people that companies were going, revenue lost overnight, that kind of stuff. But it was interesting. And once I made that decision, this big weight was off my shoulders, and I felt like I could breathe again. And that's when I really opened up to my wife to share how I'd been feeling, because she didn't know. She knew something was very off, but I just kept it locked in. I didn't want to share. I was ashamed about how I was feeling. I was felt ashamed that this business has gone down the pan, and it was just, there was all the negative self-talk and all that kind of stuff. But the once I started talking to her, I broke down in tears and cried from the depths of my soul, dude. And she said, and she was like, "That's all I wanted to know. Now we can like move forward." And then things started to change. I mean, it wasn't easy towards the end of the last year. And then I had a divine idea to just chat to somebody I knew I had worked with as a client of mine, who originally, like a decade previous, sponsored the launch of my comedy character. His company sponsored the launch. So I went to him. Yeah, crazy, man, like crazy stuff. He'd experienced my coaching like 5-6 years after that. And I just pitched him an idea. And New Year's Eve at 4 p.m., we agreed to set up a new company together.
Wow.
He was going to invest some money. The company was going to buy the rights to my online course, and we were going to go into business together. 4 p.m. on fucking New Year's Eve.
Amazing.
After that year, and then
that year was ending on 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve. The last time that year was good.
Yeah, exactly. and it finished. Yeah. It was a miracle, dude. It really was a miracle. And then, so obviously this year, and it took time for me to get going a little bit at the start of the year.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a really good place. Like, my head was sorted probably about 6 months ago, 6 months ago, where I actually felt me again, because I didn't feel like me last year. I haven't been active on LinkedIn for quite a number of weeks, and I was very active, and I'm this is again giving me a nudge to get active again. But for whatever reason, I sort of took a break. Kind of, and the weird thing was, I put a post out saying, like, I'm going to post here. And I had a schedule, and I was posting, and then some life stuff happened, and then you get out of the habit of it. And actually, I've been way more active on Twitter recently.
Okay.
And
yeah,
it's a fantastic platform, and because of what I'm doing, I'm getting clients who are abroad as well, not just in the UK.
Yeah.
And so there's an American audience on there as well. So it's just interesting. But those two platforms, LinkedIn and Twitter, I really, really like a lot.
Yeah. They're my favorite platforms. Twitter's not so much. I'm trying my best on Twitter. And I think for me, it's because I put so much energy into LinkedIn and
yeah, man,
that's my kind of main area. I always say to people, pick one that you really enjoy doing and just hammer the crap out of it. But I see the advantage of Twitter as well, but I can't say and do as much as I do on LinkedIn, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I get. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And also, it doesn't help that I'm connected to the same people on Twitter as I'm on LinkedIn, so they'll see it in stereo.
Yeah.
Is an issue. But I'm looking at things like TikTok at the moment and Instagram. Instagram, not so much. I don't know what it's about Instagram. I don't get it. I don't understand Instagram from my perspective. If I was a beautiful woman, I get it straight away. But
it's very aesthetic. It's very aesthetic, isn't it?
Exactly.
Not nice looking, like food, views, people, that kind of stuff. I think probably more like, I know, yeah, you've got some personalities on there or personal brands and stuff. I get that, but yeah, I just think, like, for me, I think I love the idea of TikTok, but it's like spreading yourself too thin as well. That's why I haven't even touched TikTok. I like the idea.
Yeah, I was going to say for a comedy actor like yourself, TikTok is a massive resource for you, because you could take some of the stuff that you've learned over the years and create 10, 20-second skits and sketches, either for your business or for your own pleasure. It's up to you how you want to do it. And I think it's a great platform for that. Or you can have something important to say, and you will get it across. And people, it takes a while, again, like all social media, it takes a while for you to build yourself up, or you can pour a bit of money into it and build yourself up artificially. But those platforms, if you do it right, you can go very far very quickly. The place I think that is kills businesses overnight, unless you're going to pour a load of money into it, is Facebook. Yeah. I don't know where it's gone. Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not active on there. I think unless you've got a really engaged Facebook group, and I know some groups, some people I know have groups, and they're like phenomenal engagement, but I hardly go on it anymore, mate.
Yeah, if you ever go on, then you see me, I'm politically ranting about something.
Oh, you are? Look, I love a political rant. I love rants. So
yeah, you'll have to see it one day. When you look at social media, what's the biggest thing that annoys you the most on social media? And bear in mind, we haven't got long.
That's a great question. The biggest thing that annoys me. It's probably this. There's too many people sitting on the sidelines.
Oh, yes.
And not doing anything and just creeping and watching. And so there's only a small amount of people that actually produce content
was it
and post it, right? Like compared to
5% or something like that?
yeah, something crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm also not a fan. And this happens like way more on Twitter. You don't hardly get it on LinkedIn. But I know there are profiles that are fake. But you get lots of accounts on Twitter where they don't have a face, and you don't exactly know who they are. Even there's nothing in the bio about what their name is.
Yeah.
But just too many people sitting on the sidelines and not sharing their message, whether that be personal or business, that can help even just one person. And yes, there's just too many people just not sharing, not getting involved. Passive.
Passive lurkers, as we used to call them.
That passive, it just makes me want to go, ugh. So I don't know.
But why do you think they do that? Is that because they don't believe?
Mindset. I think it's all to do. It has to be all to do with mindset. They don't believe that they have a story to share or a message that people want to listen to. They don't feel good enough. It's a self-worth thing.
Yeah.
They don't feel they have the experience. That there's a lot of reasons that people feel that they're valid, right?
Yeah.
And I think it has, because the mindset stuff governs everything we do, right? Our beliefs impact all our behaviors, and a lot of people have beliefs that they're boring, they've got nothing to say, who's going to listen to me, no one's going to listen, people are too scared of getting haters and pushback and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like, I think that for me, and that's what I experienced with my clients as well, a lot of times the reason why they haven't put stuff out there is because a lot of it is fear-based.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, it's away from motivation. It's not rather than going, actually, I've got these goals for my business. I want to achieve this, and that putting the energy in the towards and the positive side of things. Too many people who are passive focus on the negative side of things and get locked in their head with that. And then that puts barriers up, and there's no fucking chance they're ever going to post anything.
Yeah. That actually links quite neatly to what you do. What is your business and what you actually do? A lot of it's coaching and developing people, isn't it, into being public speakers? Is that right, or being
I think
outward?
So as my focus is on. So I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, C-level execs, and professional speakers. And obviously, on that spectrum, there's different skill levels as well. So I focus on increasing confidence.
Right.
Increasing people's natural charisma and increasing the impact people make every time they speak.
Wow.
And so some people, they would speak in more public arenas. Yeah. Like now for me, when you're talking about speaking in public, some people are doing podcasts. That's public speaking, right? Yeah. So typically that would have been on stage previously before the pandemic, but now people are realizing
an audience with, and then there'll be two guys and you go and buy tickets and go and see the guy, isn't it?
Or it could be a keynote speech or a TED talk, but now public speaking, there's a whole world that has opened up. So for me, the stuff that I share is every single time that you open your mouth, the tools are relevant as well. And then you just hit the tools at different levels on the scale as well. But I mean, the first port of call is, getting inside people's heads and shaking up their current belief systems around themselves, what they believe to be true about speaking. And a lot of people get caught in the unsupportive egoic voice, which is negative. It says all kinds of shit that the majority of the time is not true. And too many people believe that voice is the truth of who they are. And it's not.
And it's the voice that tells them that that's how people perceive them as well, isn't it? And
all of that shit.
All that kind of...
Yeah. All of that. All of those
swim
thoughts.
Around in it, don't we?
Of course. Absolutely. And because people don't question it or don't raise their level of self-awareness, that's just who I am. That's bullshit. It's not. That voice is not just who you are. Yeah. It's that egoic, unsupportive voice. And the chances are it's not even your thoughts. It could be the TV, it could be your parents, it could be marketing, it could be an old boss, it could be this. And actually, it's just a lot of bullshit. And I say, get out of that and dump the unsupportive ego voice, get rid of ego and move over here to your we-go. And the we-go is where the magic is, because the we-go is not focused on you. The we-go is focused on your audience, whether that be one or many people. Because when you get caught in here, you're not present. You're just here. For rah, 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 rah. So you're not present and in the moment. You're not present connecting with the one person or the people you're talking to, whether that's on a recorded video or whether it's live, whether it's face to face, it doesn't matter. But the WeGo focuses on, how do I need to deliver my message in a way that's really going to engage and connect or inspire or make my audience laugh or whatever it is. But most people, they don't come from that point of view because they've never had their awareness brought into it.
That's amazing. That's absolutely, do you know, you saying that now, I'm like, gee, I do that. I'm here. And then I'm never kind of, and it is, isn't it? It's separating those two elements of yourself and realizing it's not about you. It's about what you're trying to. It's a that thing in front of you, isn't it? Whatever that is.
It's about how you deliver it. And for me, it's not even about what you say, because everyone has something to say.
Right.
The people that stand out, that are memorable, that move an audience, that leave a long-lasting impact, focus on how they deliver their message. Focus on that emotional connection. They understand what it takes, or are committed to learning what it takes, about their visual impact, the facial expressions, the gestures that they make as well. Because a lot of people are just making gestures and they have no clue that they're doing the same fucking gesture 56 times, and the audience is switched off because they're going, how many did you get? I got 24 circles. How many did you? No, I got 30. It's just stupid shit like that.
And it's true though, because you do that, don't you? I was watching something the other day and I was going, I'm sure she said that word 5 times already. And it's just, do you know what I mean?
Yes, stupid shit like that takes an audience's focus off the message and connecting with the person and being present. You start going in there. And for me, that stuff is criminal. We don't have to do it. But too many people accept a level of mediocrity when it comes to how they communicate. Because they're so caught in here and the negative stuff, they're not thinking about the audience, which is the most important element.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for the audience, who would you be talking to?
Well, you're just talking to yourself, aren't you, at the end of the day, in the mirror?
Yeah.
But is this both verbally and in the written form, or are you just looking at it more for a presentational you and the person?
My focus is on the spoken word. I am going to say, however, over the last couple of months, I've got into writing. Ooh. And I never in a million years thought I would be saying this. I saw that I had a belief that I said to myself, I hate writing. And no, I did. And I was like, I hate writing. And I was thinking, do I? Do I really hate it? Why don't I give myself a chance? And through Twitter, I've met some amazing people. And one of them said, right, I'm going to do a 30-day ebook challenge where I'm going to create a very small group and we're going to write 250 words a day and create an ebook. Yeah. And I was like, brilliant. I'm in. I want to create some more digital product offerings. So what a great way to do it. Let's see if I do hate writing. Turns out I don't hate writing. I actually quite enjoy it. And at the end of the 30 days, 8,500 words later, 9 chapters of an ebook. It's not finished yet. I need to actually add a chapter. Yeah. I've got an ebook. I need to edit it, but I can actually repurpose that for different industries as well. And I was like, it's blown my mind to pieces, dude, at the possibility. So not only can the speaking stuff, I realized that not everyone's going to want to listen to videos that I do. A lot of people are going to want to read.
It's the different learning types that you have out there. You know, some are kinesthetic, some are visual, some are the written word, and a few others. You know, copying you as well. So it's hitting those type of people. And I find in LinkedIn, the same people like a video, and different people like the written stuff that you do. And then if you do even long form, it hits a different resonation again, and you get a different type of person commenting or responding to what you're doing. So that there's so many different people doing different things. So you have to boil something down for some people, but make it more expansive for other people, and so on and so forth. So it's
absolutely
it's fascinating, isn't it? How it all comes together. We're not boring people after all, are we?
No, we're not. And I think it's absolutely not. And everyone's on some level has that creativity and that uniqueness. I just feel like a lot of people need to take the shackles off that they've built up over the years and put around their fucking neck because of, for whatever reason, just take them off and let that kind of that childlike spirit come forward, that natural creativity. And also I think a lot of people have a fear of being judged and not liked and being called out and all that. And fucking life is too fucking shoot to worry about what other people are thinking.
Well, that's the one thing that I say to myself about doing these podcasts, doing videos, doing my comedy sketches, doing whatever I do on video or written. I don't give a crap what you think. I really don't care.
Good.
I'm doing this for, like you're saying, doing it for the people you're trying to talk to. The people you're not trying to talk to, the negative people, they don't need it. So what? Walk away from it if you don't need it.
Whatever. Yeah, and they're in pain. They're going through shit themselves, and they're just projecting outward, right? And a lot of times, those are the people that would really want to be doing what you're doing as well. They just don't necessarily have the courage to do it.
Yes. Oh, I could give you so many examples of that, bro.
Yeah.
So what's next for you then, Stephen? Where's life going to take you next? Because you've been on a hell of a venture today, mate. It's been an amazing journey.
It's certainly been a journey, man. So right now I'm really focused on building, so I suppose my online presence, the products that I've got. I've got my course. I've got this ebook that I'm going to be launching soon, and then I've got like long-term coaching programs, 3 to 6 month coaching programs, but I haven't up until over the next week or two had like a coaching call for 1 hour that people can do with me. So I'm developing something called the Power Hour, which is, there's 2 different things I'm doing. I'm doing one, coaching for video sales letters, where we break down somebody's script, and I've got a crazy ass formula and key that is kind of a bit like uncovering the matrix, as a client just said recently. So there's that, and then it's just so people can dip their toe in the water with me, right? Yeah. And then the other one is someone films a 2-minute video, I give them feedback for the first half hour, and then we work on completely transforming that video in the next half hour. So I guarantee to improve their speaking skills by 5 to 10%, or they have their money back.
Wow, Jesus!
So that's what's come, but that's from being on Twitter and doing some market research and that kind of stuff. So I just think that then I've got a kind of a product ladder there, which I'm excited about, because I never had that before.
That's it. It is an awesome idea, though, because you think about it, we're in a fast, quite moving world. And if whatever you do with that product, you can chop that up into tiny pieces and chuck it into the internet, and people will capture when they see it. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. And then they'll come to you and explore it even more in depth.
Yeah. So that's really the focus, after last year, and the focus now is building.
Yeah.
Now is building the business in a really healthy way with the clients that I want to work with. And yeah. And what about you, dude?
Oh, me. I'm just a lonesome recruiter with a podcast. No, for me, I'm trying to grow a business in a direction. I've got some ideas. Whether I say on this podcast now, basically what I'm trying to do is turn my business into something that's not the same as other recruitment businesses. And I think to date, I've tried my best doing that. And I think I've nipped ahead in certain areas with podcasts, with videos, doing a bit of comedy as well, writing stuff, trying not to be too much of a dick, weird looking person and too sarcastic, but trying to create a business in which people can go, right, I know who Thomas Lee Recruitment is. This is what they do. And I'm going to use them for this because I believe in what they can do and stuff. And me being the face of that is why I do that. And then in the next couple of months, I've got a project which I hope takes off. I'm just waiting for some graphics to come back to me. But basically, I'm trying to make the business look a little bit more cooler. I think is the right word to use.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah. When I stop recording, I will tell you about it.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's the next phase for me. 2022 for me is going to look different to the last 6 years. I'm still doing the core of what I normally do, which is recruitment within the engineering manufacturing world. But I'm going to get involved with it in a different way to everyone else is doing, and hopefully bring an audience to me that can see why I'm doing it and understand why I'm doing it and enjoy why I'm doing it at the same time. So it's fingers crossed. It's a direction to go in, basically. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's without saying too much. You'll see it now in the next couple of months what I'm on about. But
can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure, man,
Thanks, man.
introducing me to your life. And this is the first time we've properly talked as well on this podcast.
Yeah, dude. I really appreciate you posting that and then saying yes to having me on. I just knew, I'm like, obviously we are definitely going to stay in touch now, and
100%.
I look forward to getting to know you better, man. Because
certainly here, mate.
yeah, you're a good dude.
Thank you. Same with you, mate. And
Cheers,
honestly, it's been amazing hearing about your life. And when I read your profile, I was like, oh, I've got to know more about this guy. This is amazing. This honestly, yeah. And I'm sure one day we'll have a beer together and we'll talk about all the stories that you've got, and I know you've got.
Amen. Oh, dude, I'm up for that, man. Definitely.
Take it easy, Steven.
Cheers, mate. Take care.